Hey everyone, Mike here today with some thoughts here on Redout Enhanced Edition. This is a game I've been looking at on my Steam wishlist for several years now, and it recently was free during one of the Epic giveaways a couple weeks ago, so hey, I didn't have to buy it. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's one of those, you know, ship racing games, kind of like F-Zero or Wipeout. So I'm going to switch back to this ship here. I'm going to show off a couple of the things in the campaign here. So yeah, we've got a couple races where I've gone the gold time. A couple here where I'm still on silver. And then we've got a tournament. So may as well do the tournament. It'll give us 3 events back to back to play around with. Actually, there are a couple different power-ups. They all do different things. For what I care about, boosts and being able to actually use the turbo power. That's kind of what I want to do. Alright, good. So let's hop into it, and yeah, we'll do a couple events back to back here.
3, 2, 1.
So like any of these other games in this kind of genre, you know, your left analog stick allows you to turn, the right analog stick allows you to lean, and it kind of modifies your turning behavior a little bit to turn more into corners and whatnot. These are the kinds of games where maybe you use the brakes, maybe you just release the throttle a little bit. You know, as your ship gets faster and you get into more complex maps or tracks with tighter corners and stuff like that, those are things you have to think about after a while. But at least for now, we're still, you know, early-ish ships. We don't have to deal with as much craziness. So far, so good. So I'm gonna double boost here. Get a huge lead on some of these guys. And then, yeah, we just gotta coast to the end. So unlike something like Wipeout, there's not as much combative competitiveness, right? It's really about speed. There's a little bit of things you have to watch out for, but yeah, it depends which power-ups you equip and so on. Generally, you're gonna only be dealing with get as fast as you can around the track and potentially not hit the walls too much, if at all possible.
3, 2, 1.
I think this is a new track for me. No, I've done this one before. But yeah, overall, it's a decent game. I think it did a decent job early on to kind of ease you into it. Like these tracks, you can see they're pretty big and wide. There's a lot of room to maneuver around them. I am hitting the wall a bunch, but that's just me being not great at this. But there's definitely like a period of time that you'll need to adjust to this style of racing game. So if you've ever played F-Zero or Wipeout, you kind of know what I'm talking about. This again, it's in that family of game, right? So it's gonna have a lot of similarities. It's gonna share a lot of those growing pains, I suppose. But yeah, I think we'll see if we get a time trial one. I think the biggest complaint I have is when you get into time trials and it's a standing start. And so it's 3 laps with a standing start, which is fine. It's just like that first lap is wasted, right? Because it's a standing start, you're never going to get a good time. You're always going to be 3 seconds faster on your second or third lap at minimum. So that feels like a design thing that should have been changed a long time ago, but it wasn't. And it's strange too because the races are 2 laps, and so why not just give the flying start and at least make the first lap useful out of 3. Other than that, the rest of the game is fine. It runs really well. It's not a super demanding game. Granted, I'm playing on a 1080 Ti. It's really powerful GPU, but at the same time, like, This game is less than 50% GPU demand with maxed out graphics running at 2K resolution. And right now it's capped at 60, but normally I'm playing at 120 frames a second. So yeah, it's it's perfectly serviceable. I'm not gonna say it's a clone, but it's inspired by that genre. I don't know if there's a specific name for that kind of racing game, but if there is, this is one of those. I don't know if there is a specific genre we can call them. I'm gotta be careful here and actually land on the track. I've not seen this track in a while. It's nice to see it again. This is one of the easier tracks. Yeah, nice wide open. Tons of room to maneuver. Not a lot of sharp corners. Release the throttle on. Yep. I think, playing this, I think the biggest thing I have to say about it is it's not like super memorable. I think it plays really decently and it looks decent and everything like that. It's just, I'm playing this and it's not wowing me to the point where it's like, yeah, I want to come back to it. All it's doing really is saying like, hey, remember how good Wipeout was? I want to go back to that. So, yeah, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just a lot of these games that are trying to bring back those two classics, they always fall short in one way or another. And so, again, this is not the only game that I've played lately that is like this. It's just kind of unfortunate when you think about it, but there is a sequel. I think this is why this game was free on Epic, because Epic is working with them now, or partnering or whatever. And so it makes sense for them to also be like, hey, we'll give away the first game. If you like it, guess what? We got a sequel. Yeah, if you're interested in buying it on Steam, it normally is about 23 Canadian or 20 US. If you are looking at picking it up on sale, it comes down to like 10 bucks Canadian. So it's a pretty cheap game. Or $7 US. Yeah, we went through the ships, show you the tracks, right? There's a couple tracks. Some of them are still locked in some of these regions. So I've not played some of those yet. And then some of these other regions I've not even seen yet. And then as far as DLC goes, there's quite a bit of DLC available, which are different tracks. So yeah, overall, it's a decent game. Again, if you picked up the base game on sale, it's cheap enough that like, whatever, even if you don't like it, you're not going to be spending a lot for it. Yeah, I've had some fun. I've played a couple rounds. I'm not sure I'm going to go much further into it though, because again, I kind of want to dig out the PS3. Actually, they re-released Wipeout on PS4, so maybe I'll look at grabbing that. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next week with another one.